Okay, so where was I? So for today and next week, to, today we are going to learn about the basic GI first, and then in the following session, which will be our last session for the semesters, I'm going to go in depth about all the GUIs that that is going to be taught in our session lah. So before we begin, let me just what do you call it? Introduce you to graphic user interface, which is the GUI. How do you want to develop GUI? There are several ways, okay? But for beginners, for people who just started coding, you can use Tkinter, the Tkinter library as your reference or as your source of reference to use in making the user interface of your program, because as we all know, even if we made a very good functional program, if it doesn't have any friendly user interface, people won't be satisfied. Okay, so as a beginning, we need to import the tkinter. Okay, you can do just import tkinter, but sometimes the tkinter is too long. You can just make it short as import tkinter as tk. So the following will be just tk dot something, tk dot something, tk dot something. That's how you use the library. Okay, so what is inside this library? So if you notice, there are some functions and some functions that can help you create your own GUI. Okay, so let us begin with commenting all of this so that we can go one by one. So the first of all, to create a program that has a user interface, we need to have a window. So how do you want to initiate the window? We have main. This is basically our main program equals to tk.tk bracket. So this is a way to create a window, just a window. Okay, and then if you notice here, you have main.title demo. So basically, this is going to be the title of the window that I'm going to show you later on. Okay, not this one. Current file. So if I were to run this, you will notice that this, you might not see it, but you have created a window with a title demo on top of it. Okay. You can also change this to whatever name you like. For example, Python is the best, for example. And then you run this. And then you might see that it is showing Python. Why does it not show why does it not show the full thing? Because if you notice, there is another line below here which is main.resizable. What does this thing means? It is basically means it is going to tell the program that the window that we are going to create is not going to be resizable. What we are not resizable. It tells the program how do you want the window to change its size. Can the user change its size manually, or should it just let the program handle the size? Okay, let me show you. If I were to put it as true for the width and the height, okay, so what will you get from here is that you can see that the icon, the cursor of the mouse changes so that we can change the size of the window. Okay, what if I were to lock the height to false? So what happened? I can only change it on the width, but I cannot change it on the height. Okay, it is locked. Even though I've hold this mouse button for a long time, I still cannot resize the window from the height axis. Okay, so for now, let us keep it to false because we are going to learn about frames and packing. Okay. So how are we going to learn about frames? Not frames. Within a program, there are several components that you have to consider. We have frame, okay? We have frame, we have grid, we have not grid, we have label, we have button input, we have button frame, entry frame, we have we have the text input, we have the button input, there's also a label input. Okay, so in other words, the components of a program are frames, entry, which is the text input, the button, the label. I think there's one more, if I'm not mistaken. Button, label. There's one more actually. But I did not use it because, let me just check here. Ooh, we will touch about this one in the next next session. But I just want to find where is that. This is still the functionalities. Frames, labels, entry, frame, button, grid. Oh, apparently I did not use that. Okay, it's okay. You can just go back. So basically, these four things are the main components that I will always use because basically it's the same thing. Okay, you might want to put some videos or some images in your coding, but as of your projects, I don't think there is a requirement for that unless you want to add it. Okay, so back to the main topic. How are we going to put these components inside our frame? Okay, so let us begin with the first one. So let us start with frame demo equals tk dot frame. And okay, so how do we want to create a frame component is that we are going to use the library tk, and we want to use the function frame, meaning that we are telling the program to create a frame, and it just creates the frame. So what we have to do, we need to tell the program how does it want to create the frame, who are its master, what is the width, the height, the background color, the padding, the pad X, and the pad Y. So for example, let me just uncomment this. Oops. And not this one, this one. Okay, so if I uncomment this, you will get a green square. Okay, because this is the frame tree, and I'm telling the program that this frame has its master. The master is the main. Okay, this meaning that this frame is categorized under the main. Okay, and then I would like to tell the program that the width of this frame is 200, the height is 200, the background is green, the padding is 5, the pad Y is 5 as well. Okay, for the padding, if I'm not mistaken, the padding is for the space within, meaning basically what is the border or the margin towards inside the component. Okay, I will demonstrate to you later on about this one. Okay, so let's say if I want to change the size of this frame 3, oops, see, it becomes bigger. Okay, you might have noticed that there is a side left and side right. We are going for that later on soon. Okay, so let's say we are going to introduce all of this, and I'm going to remove this first. Okay, So what will happen? You will see that they are arranged in vertical order. Okay, and you notice that frame 1 is red, so it becomes first, followed by blue and green. Okay, what happened if I were to put side equals left? And then for frame number 2, side equals right. So let me just rerun this. It becomes like this. Now, the red frame is on the left, and then when we want to run the blue frame, it is on the right. Okay, so there is a priority, but we can force the program to put the frame in what position. Okay, although for the pack one, this is basically telling the frame, the components, what is their position relative to the others in the same master. Okay, you notice that all of them are in the same master? Yes. Okay, so what happened if I'm not sure if bottom is the correct term. So let me try that. So if I were to run this, see, the red frame is at the bottom, even though it is initiated first, because we are telling the frame one, the red frame, to be at the bottom first, and then the blue frame is on the right side, and then the green frame normally. Okay, you can also change the size of all this. So for example, let's say I'm not sure if I can put auto here. Let's try like this. No, I cannot. But if I were to remove it, it does not have any frame because it does not this. Okay, so let's just put it back 200, and let's just put probably the width to be 400, and it shows you like this. Okay, so packing is one of the ways of rendering the frames. Okay, what does pack do? It's just basically what telling the program to just to pack the frame, and then we can tell it to pack it on the left side or on the right side or the bottom side. But what if we want to put it in a grid, okay, instead of just relative size? So we are going to go through the grids and labels. So for this one, let me just open this. And if you notice that I have 4 loops here, okay? I have 2 for loops, nested for loops, because I want to create 4, if I'm not mistaken, 4 rows and 5 columns of cells. So let me show. Okay? So if you notice, I've begun to use tk.labels. So what does this label means? It is basically you want to put the text inside that component. Okay, and you notice here, the frame grid has the master of mean, but for the text label, it does not have the master of mean, but instead it has the master of that text is under the frame grid, like this. And now you have seen there are more, what do you call it? There are more options or more characteristics that you can do. Okay, for example, the text one. So text equals to F. This is basically literals. You put the F in front, and then you can put your text along with the variables within. Okay, that's why you see like the curly bracket here, and then a variable I, and then a variable J, because of that. So, and you notice that the width is 10, the height is 5, and then you see this. What is this relief? The relief is basically how would you like to decorate the border of the cells, of the labels, of the component. So let me just And you see text.pack, meaning that you want to render the text label inside the frame grid. And then you notice here the frame grid equals to the frame grid dot grid. You notice here there is a grid. Grid is a bit different than pack, where instead of we are telling them to uh, position the component relative to others, we are going to force them to put it in a table. Okay, we have row equals to I, column equals to J, like this. There's also like row span and column span. If you notice that we have column span on the right side here, right? We have the if I were to move it, see, column, which tells you which column does this cell should be in. And then rows, column span is basically how large, how many columns is this cell going to take. For row span, how many rows is this cell is going to take. That's the one. Okay, so if you were to try to run this, you will get this. See, row 0 and column 0, row 0 and column 1, up until row 3, column 4. See, there are 4 rows, which is I, and 5 columns, which is J. Okay, what happened if we were to change raise to groove? Okay, so if we were to change to groove, the border would be a bit different. Okay, there's also another one. There are 3 more, but I can't remember. So that's up to you to search for yourself lah. I'm just going to tell you the basics. Raise. So back to raise. And it's a bit different. If you try it yourself, you will notice a subtle difference between them. So what happens if I want to change the height? Maybe I put it 20 or 10 and the width to be 20. So what will happen? It becomes like this, a bit bigger. Okay. If I were to change it to 5 instead of 4, and then this one make it 10, but the height is still 10, so what will happen? You will get this. So bear in mind, the 10 here is not 10 centimeters or 10 pixels, it is 10 EM. There's this thing called the font size. Okay, so what does this 10 means? It means that the width of the text should be 10 characters wide. And then the height of this cell should be 10 characters long, tall. Okay, and you know that the characters are a bit of a rectangular shape, right? I mean, they can be put in a rectangular frame. So the 10 here, the height of 10 means the height of 10 characters. That's what it meant. So you need to consider this when you are doing your programming, your GI. Oops, what happened? So if you bring it here, see, it comes back to normal. Okay, now, so we have learned about grid, we have learned about labels, we have learned about the relief. Okay, there's also other options where you can change the color of the text. I can't remember, but I think I put it somewhere here or in my personal projects. I might want to show you in the next session. Okay, so for now, is there any question? Anything that you don't understand? You need to try it first so that you know what are you going to ask. Meanwhile, let me just open up the list. Before that, am I recording? Yes. Okay. So, is there any question? Let me open my notepad and share you the magic word. So the magic word for this session is this. Oops, not that one. That one. What happened? This one, visually recursive. Okay, this is the magic word for today. Is there any question while you guys are filling up the attendance?
Azman,
Yes,
how far are we because of the semester running? I think we have only one more class, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, we have one more class.
Okay, so
So
we can finish up, right?
I haven't finished talking about the other components yet. So we'll finish that first, and then we'll continue with the housekeeping announcements or anything, any Q&A sessions. If no question, can I continue?
You guys can mute or mute and yes or no because it's for you guys.
No question.
No question. Before that, group 2, have you submitted? You haven't. I mean, for task 3 you also submit it very late. I don't know why. So I'm giving you a chance before you get another 0 for task 4. Okay. Okay, where was I? Okay. So we have done about the labels, we have done about grades, we have done about frames, we have done about the window. We have done about what more? We have done about grades, labels, and relief, and along with the parameters, respective parameters. Okay. So now let us take a look on what they call it. Take a look on other what they call it, other components. Okay. So first, let us introduce the text input first. Okay. The text input is the entry component. The entry component is basically what we want to call it as where you want to put your input, where you want to put your strings, your characters, all of that. Okay. So but before we want to put the text input, we need to put it inside a frame. So that's why I introduce button frame here. Okay, so button frame, we make the master to be the main master, and then you notice that text input, which is the entry, is under the button frame, and it has a width of 50. Okay, and then you notice that the button frame pack and then text input pack, okay, which is basically the relative rendering, relative positioning render, okay, meaning that if you want to tell them which side are they on, this is the way. If we want to put them in a grid, this is not the way. Okay, so let us run this, and you will get a text input. If you notice, you might not notice, but there is a padding here. Okay, the padding means the margin inside the frame. Okay, the margin inside the frame, so that the components within that frame is not touching it. Okay, so for example, if I were to put it 20 and I put the pad y to be, I don't know, maybe 10, you will notice that the border here is a bit bigger because the padding is larger now. Okay, the padding is larger. Okay, so let me just return it to original. And you already know the entry, so you can put the text there. Now we need the button. Okay, so let me uncomment here, and you will notice that you have seen master, you have seen text, you have seen width, but now you see this command equal show label. Before we go on that, let me just comment this, okay, and let me just run this. So you will see this button, a click me button, and then there's a text beside it. So we have rendered a button, but that button is not alive. It does not have any function. It is just there for decoration. So what you need to do, you need to give it a function. That is where the command parameter comes in. And if you notice, earlier, I have commented the show label function initially. So what do? We uncomment it. Why? Because I need this show label to be used as the functionality of this button one. Okay. So what does this show button do? So it does show label data equals text input dot get. So this is where we want to get the input from the entry. Okay, we already initialized input as an string input, which is entry. So we are calling it again within the show label to get the data there. Okay, and then text label dot config. Okay, now for the text label and the text label dot pack, since we need to make it alive, so let us just uncomment this as well. Okay, so we need to uncomment the button one and the text label for this to work. Okay, so in this show label function, what does it do is that it takes the data from the text input component, store it in a string called data. Okay, and then this one is just basically we want to read from the log. And then these two lines here, the text label.config and text label pack, remember that we are doing we are initializing a label here. Text label equals tk.label, and then we have the master button frame, comma, text equals to double quote, and then the height is 2. Okay, take note that the height is the height of the characters. But in the pad X and pad Y, it's a bit different. I don't know why. I don't know why they put pad X and pad Y in terms of pixel size, but for the width and the height, they put it in terms of characters. I don't know why. Okay, back to the main topic. So if you notice, there's another one that we call it as config. What does this config means? It means that we are going to update the text label. Because initially the text label is not shown. Okay, if you notice here the text label is not packed yet. But when we want to press the button, then it will pack the text label. So let me just demonstrate that to you. So as you can see, there's no text label yet because we haven't packed it yet. So what happened if I want to put a data here? So for example, I want to put 100. You might not able to see it, but I'm just putting 1000 there. So I put click me. Okay, I click on the click me, and it shows 1000 has been entered. Okay, 1000 has been entered. The data 1000 has been entered. Okay, and then it packs it. What happened if I were to change it? For example, IIUM. Okay, if I click me, it will change to IIUM, and you can see from the log, there's also 1000 and IIUM. So it keeps updating. Okay, as long as you haven't closed the program, it keeps updating. So what happened if you were to close it? You close, they say the process finished with exit code 0, meaning that we have successfully executed the program. You can also put some other things, like for example 100, anything, anything. So click me equals to anything has been entered, like that. So that's how button works, where you need to put a command to it for it to work. And what is the command? The command is show label. Where does this show label comes from? It comes from this definition. Brother, I just noticed, why in that particular command parameter we don't put any what do you call it, bracket? Basically, this is we are treating the function as variables in the parameter. We are not treating the functions as functions when we are passing the command to the button. So that's why it is put command equals show button. However, not however, this looks good, but in some cases, like what in some cases it might get a bit hard. Some edge cases. That edge cases is what I'm going to tell you in the next session, where we are going to deal with a very hard coding that I struggled to do when I first wrote this coding. Okay, because as you can see, in the next session, I'm going to teach you how are we going to assign functions that have different parameters inside it as an argument to a button, to an array of button without any problem, because by conventional means it does not work. Okay, so as you can see, I did this so that you can just copy and paste. Not copy and paste, you need to learn this lah for your coding, but I did this, I learned this the hard way so that you can learn, you can see, oh, if there's this problem, this is the way to solve it. Although I'm going to touch about this next session. And in the next session, I'm going to demonstrate what my mini project that I've done in a week, I think, for the last session of the class that I did during my first time demonstrating. It was pretty tough actually. So where was I? Okay, so we are done with this. I can show you another program that I have made, okay, which is this one, another program which adds two different numbers. Okay, so what you can do, you can see that there are a function add to numbers, which we are going to use as the command to our button here. Although, if you notice, there is a parameter. In the demo, and in this file, there is no parameters given, but in this file, there is a parameter. So I'm just going to touch this a bit lah. Okay. So as usual, main title add to numbers, and then I put input frame, and I put two input frames, okay, next to each other. So label A, label input frame 1, text input A, and then input A, tag tk.entry, master input frame 1 with 40, and then I put label A pack side, and then input A pack side, a left, and then input B as well on the left side. Okay, if you notice that there are two label A and input A situated on the left, and then input B and label B is also on the left. So if somehow you put both of them on the left, so they are going to prioritize which are going to be rendered first. So the first one that is going to be rendered is going to be put on the leftmost, followed by the second rendered, third rendered until the end. Okay, and then there is a calculate frame. So calculate frame is basically where I'm going to put the add button and the answer button in that frame. So so there are 3 frames in total, and each frame have their own respective components. And if you can see, this is what we get. So this is the first frame, which is input frame 1, which contains label A and input A. Frame number 2, which contains input B, and then frame number 3, which includes adding the button. Okay. So I put here, add them together, and then you notice here, command equals lambda, and then there are two, we have this, and then we have add to numbers, and then we have this. This is basically how are you going to pass a function that has a parameter to a command, because in the traditionally you cannot put parentheses on a function if you want to send it as an argument to a button, as a command to a button. But this lambda function, lambda and then full calling, is what lets you send the functions with its parameter inside it. Okay. So for example, see there's print I here, right? So let's just put 10 and then 20. If I were to add them together, you can see that on my log here there is a number 5, and then in the answer below it says the sum of 10 and 20 is 30, like that. And then if I were to choose 1000 and this is 50, it changes, and you see another 5 has emerged from the log file. Okay, and then we see that the sum of 150 is 150. Okay. Just to another thing, just to make sure that you can see this frame clearly, I'm gonna put some color. Background, it might be hideous, but trust me, it's for you. It's for you. Then the second frame, let me just put it background equals yellow. And then if we run this, you can see that the frames are different, and you can see that they are paddings. If I were to change 10 to 100, just to make it a bit more exaggerated, what do you get? A very large frame here. This is a very large frame. And for B, you can notice that the size of the frame is just small, like that. Okay. So let's return that to normal, and we get a color like this. And then what more? So we have learned about how to give functions as commands to a button, how to give a function that has parameters as a command to a button. And in the next session, I'm going to teach you how are you going to send an array of functions as an argument to different buttons, meaning that each button have their own arguments, have their own functions that have their own arguments. Okay? Is it easy for you? That's my question. Is it easy? Is there any question? No question? If no question, before I end, I just want to demonstrate the project that I'm going to teach you how to create in the next session. So this is basically a mini project that I told myself I would do alone, just for the sake of my pride as a demonstrator to you guys. So this is basically me just assume that I'm presenting my mini project to you guys. Okay, so for this mini project, what I'm creating a graphic user interface or a program that simulates stack and queue. Okay, so we have add data into the list either by push or enqueue, remove data from the list either by pop or dequeue, clear the list using clear, and I also put the program to say to the the user, only 20 data can be put into this list. Okay, So let me demonstrate to you the input text. So for example, the first one, let's say I want to put IIUM and I want to push it into the queue. As you can see, there is another text label which says IIUM has been pushed into the list. And then you can see there is one IIUM and there is a button delete there. This delete function is what cracks my brain for the whole week, because this is the toughest part of the program that I need to solve, and I managed to solve it. Okay, which is a very good self accomplishment if if you if you tell me. Okay,
Can you zoom, Ziman? Can you zoom a little bit?
this is the problem. Let me just show.
Cannot zoom, right? I
Yeah,
see it very well.
let me just change the
Font, right? The font size.
let me just I don't think I can change the font size. I'll take a look into how can I change the font size, but I think I can show you this one at least. Is it full screen now? Can you see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, full screen.
Full screen. So you can see the text clearly, right? Is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's visible.
So this is push. If I were to put another one, UIA, if I push, it will put it on top. And then KOE, I push, it will be put on top. If I were to put NQ, for example, CIE, it will put it at the bottom instead. So CIE is at the bottom. And if I were to put it again, for example, let me just think of it, DSA, data structure and algorithm. If I NQ another one, it shows DSA here. Okay. And you can also see from the log that the order of the stack, not stack, the list is KOE, UIA, IIM, CIE, and DSA. Okay. If I were to pop and DQ, it will remove the element from the head only. So let me demonstrate. If I pop, it will remove KOE. If I DQ, it will remove UIA. So it will only remove from one direction, but when you want to edit, it will put it into both directions. One will be from the top, one will be from the bottom. So that is only 4 of the buttons. Let me demonstrate the clear button.
Come, wait. Let me ask you something.
Yes.
I'm very confused of what we're doing.
Am I too fast or what?
No, not too fast, but I'm seeing something. Okay, can you push? Let me see. When you push.
Okay.
Well, in the first place, why do you mix both, or you are doing both stack and queue together?
Yes, I'm doing both stack and queue together.
Okay. Send. Then, can you DQ? Let's see. DQ now.
If I DQ, it will remove from the head as well. The only difference, only push and NQ have different directions.
So why is it so? Because then you are not following FIFO for your NQ DQ, right?
Let me just.
Because your NQ should DQ the one that have stayed longer in the queue, isn't?
Oh, if I were to NQ, okay, for example, NQ.
Okay, you do again.
If I were to put NQ, it will put it at the end of the list. So if I DQ, it will DQ from DSA, not from the NQ part. Let me just clear it first. Okay.
Let's do another one.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So So this is the list for the NQ.
So one is the longest, right?
One is the longest. Okay.
So now DQ.
If I were to DQ, one will be going out first.
Okay, good. All right, now pop. Let's see.
If I were to pop, it goes from here. But since I mix the NQ and what do you call it? NQ and NQ and push, so it might get confusing. So let me just demonstrate push and pop only.
Yes.
So if I were to
Yeah,
put push 1, 2,
hmm?
3, so it is in inverse order actually instead
Yes.
of.
Push is okay.
So if I
Then
were
pop.
to pop, so
Mm-hmm.
the 7 that comes in first will be put out first.
Okay. The pop is also okay.
Mm-mm.
All right. So I think you had better make okay.
Yeah, it's the confusion
Push
comes from
pop is
the.
okay.
Uh-uh.
Mm. So NQ DQ also should be okay. NQ okay.
So
NQ NQ NQ
thank
NQ.
you.
So now let's DQ.
DQ. So since 1 comes first, so 1 will be going
Okay.
out first.
All right. Okay. It works well.
Uh-uh. It's it's confusing because uh it's confusing because the pop and DQ have the same direction instead of push and
Yeah, yeah,
NQ.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's the
confusing
thing.
because of that.
But it's okay. It works now. It works well
Uh-uh.
now.
Okay. So
So it
sorry for.
can be vertical, it can be horizontal, it can be
Mm-mm.
okay. Why your delete? What's your delete doing?
The
You
delete.
decided to put delete if you
Uh,
want to delete anything in
uh
the list, right?
yes. Any specific position from the list
Okay,
that
okay,
you want to delete. So
okay,
for example, I want to delete number. Just to make sure I'm not confused, I just put A B C D. A B
okay.
C D E F G H. Okay. Let's say I want to remove E. Okay. So I can just press the delete button and it will just remove the E from the rest. Uh-uh. And then if I want to remove B from the list,
Okay.
it just removes
Mm.
the B.
Okay.
So so it also works in that way as well lah. And if I want to remove all elements together, I can just press the clear button. And there's also another one which is the I've which is shown here, which is the list has been cleared. So basically, it tells you what action has been done. So the list has been cleared. Maybe I should consider putting another one which tells the history of the list. Probably.
Mm.
Maybe
Okay.
I should
What has
do it.
been out?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yours doesn't have like what if you want to delete empties? You want to pop empty? Will it pick up a exception? Will it be
It will just tell the list has been it will not do anything.
it won't capture the exception, right?
It won't capture that. I think from that particular DQ, if data list DQ. Oh, okay. So if I want to pop I want to clear pop nothing from the list, so it will tell no data is being popped from the list, or DQ no data is being DQ from the list. Maybe I should change the action statement here, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then another one from the for the pop for the NQ.
Because the sorry for interrupting you.
Sure.
Like no data has been dequeued from the list could be since it is you cannot delete an empty list, so it could just display that it's error something like
Sure.
that. It's an empty list.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can just
I
change.
hope you guys are
Mm-mm.
catching up what is going
Mm-mm.
on because this is some of the things you are going to do. Where is Jalo?
Yes.
Where
So
is Jalo? He's not online.
so
Faris, Faris, right?
mm-mm.
I think Faris. Faris is there or not?
Yes, madam.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. I think Jalo is missing.
Mm-mm. So in short, what you have watched today is what we are going to face in your mini project. This is just me improvising, but I'm just basically showing you uh what would you expect from the presentation. Although I might not be the judge during your presentation, but Madam Rashida is going to be the one asking the questions. Okay, as although I might have my say in terms of checking your programs. I might I won't be asking you questions because I am busy, but I will take some time to look into your programs. Okay. so so other than Madam Rashida, is there anyone who wants to ask me anything? This is just consider it as like a demonstration.
And my internet may go off at any time because
Uh-uh.
I couldn't load anything up. I just only my online banking is not working. So many things is messed up. So I only have one ringgit to upload for 1 hour. So if my internet goes off, so no problem. At least we are all there.
Mm-mm.
So it will just auto to switch.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, it's still on. But it's for 1 hour. Maybe like maybe some few minutes it's going to be off.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
I
okay.
just want, yeah. For me, but for you guys, you can still be on.
Mm-mm.
For me, I may not be able to continue
Mm-mm.
to be online.
Ask.
Yes, but
Wait.
it's still
Mm-mm.
okay still now.
So anyone wants to ask any question? I've done demonstrating my projects. I haven't done any demonstration on how I do this project because we don't bother. It's not that we don't bother. It's just that it might take some more time to go into technical details. Okay, because the technical details is going to be checked during from my side lah. Because I can't ask you directly. I can just read your code. Mm-mm. So is there any question? This is your chance. Next week, I'm going to be handling the technicalities of what do you call it? Some specific coding that is hidden in this GUI that I need you to know. Uh, Let me just change the windows again. Hmm. Anyone got any question?
No, ready.
No. No? No question? The others? No? Okay. So it's okay. For task number 5, I'm giving you one more week to do your to finish your coding. Okay. Later on, next week I'll be checking. But for group 2, I'll be checking. Since you have submitted task 4, I'll be checking it after this, and I won't be checking. I'll be grading your task 4. And then for the GUI, I hope you guys have finished your program in terms of the functionalities. But for the GUI, since you guys just learned about this, so so you guys may start doing the GUI from now. Okay, because as you can see, I've put how many lines are there for this code? There are 311 lines. No, 308. So the first part is for sure you are going to do the functionality of the program, which is the define one, the linked list, or maybe you are going to do heap, or maybe you are going to do branches or something else, and then the second part is going to be the functions, the not functions, the what do you call it, the GUI functions, which is this one. Basically, I'm not sure what's the term. Is it API? The API between the buttons, the components, and the backend, which is the function I told you just now. And the last one would be the GUI itself. So there are 3 things you have to consider in your three things you have to consider in creating your project: the functionality of the project, the visuals of the project, and how you are going to link them together. Okay, that's what is required. And since that's all, I would like also to thank you, Madam Rashida, for asking me questions during my quote unquote mini project presentation. Okay, so that the others can, yeah, can see how it is going to be done. If there's no more question, I'm going to stop the recording now.